to my channel, or welcome if you're here for the first time. My name is Sammy, and today we're going to talk about books. If you saw my last video, then you saw that I reorganized my entire bookshelf and that I came up with a number of how many books that I have and how many books that I have not read, which was quite a large number in comparison to the number of books that I have. So I thought that instead of making myself feel overwhelmed with the idea of reading 164 books, that I would instead make a first 20 books list. So like a first 20 books that I intend to read from my bookshelves. And that's not to say that I can't change my mind, but I figured having the first 20 picked out, I'd get excited about reading those books because I'll just do a little shopping through my bookshelves and pick out the first 20 books that I intend to read. So that felt a little bit more fun and a little bit less intimidating than I have 164 books that I haven't read. So that felt like a little bit more of an attainable list. So today I'm going to go over my TBR of the first 20 books that I'm going to read from my bookshelves. But first, before we get started, grab yourself I was going to say a cozy beverage, but I think a refreshing beverage since it's now summer. I don't know if you noticed in that last video, but I filmed it a little bit ago. I started filming it, honestly, in like February. So the seasons began to change. Life got ahead of me, and it took me a while to get it posted. But it is summertime now, and I posted it in summertime, so I'm getting better. And, but anyways, happy summer. Grab yourself a refreshing beverage. Mine is a hibiscus berry tea. And let's get to it. So first, I want to sort of talk about my bookshelves. So in the first few clips, I showed you how I organized it, and I was so proud of it because I was able to like organize it in a way that I was able to turn some books out to make it look a little bit more cute, and I really loved the way that looked. So as you can see now, it looks a little disheveled since I took some books off the shelves, but I'm gonna put it back and make it cute again, so don't worry. But I was really happy with that. I think I decided to do like the top shelf more of like the like fantasy, young adult, children's book and middle grade type of shelves or type of books on that shelf, and then on the middle shelf I did historical fiction, and I think I did some like, I don't know, literary fiction, I guess. And then on the bottom shelf I kind of stuck to like, I put all the Christmas on one side, and then I kind of stuck to like more of the classics and stuff like that on the bottom. So I really liked the way I organized it. I felt like it made sense to me, and that's what matters since they're my books. But it made sense to me. I liked the way it looked, and really I was just excited to put some of those cute covers facing outward so I can see them. And I also tried to organize it. It was kind of hard, honestly, because the way that, I mean, I have a small bookshelf and 300 books, so it's kind of hard to do it in a way that like I could see all the books, because that just isn't possible. But I tried to put some of the books that I was more excited about in the front, or like the ones that I definitely have not read in the front. I tried to do that most of the time. Sometimes it didn't work out that way, but I think that it made sense, at least in my mind, how I organized it. So for a small space, it worked out fine. I have to apologize because in my last video, I think I said that we would do it together, but honestly, I forgot because I was so overwhelmed with how it was just not fitting the way that I really wanted it to fit, where I could see everything very well. And so my apologies for not showing you that process, but honestly, I think you would have felt overwhelmed too. It was just a big ordeal. So trying to fit 300 books in here, not easy. But what I decided to do, I don't know if you caught it, but on the side of the bookshelf is a stack of all the nonfiction. Oh, which reminds me, I didn't pull one of those, and I should. So I'll be right back. So I'm back, and I picked out a few of the nonfiction titles as well, because in my last video, if you saw, I did say that this year is the year that I'd read more nonfiction. So I should have taken that into consideration originally when I picked out my first 20 books, but I think that even though I already picked out 20 books, I think you'll see that I still have 20 books here, even though I added a couple books to the stacks. So I know that seems silly, but you'll see what I mean when we get to it. So I guess I'll just go ahead and start with the nonfiction. It'll be fun. If you saw my last video, I flipped through every single book that I own, so you might recognize some of the books as I go through them. If you have read any of these books, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because these are obviously books that I haven't read yet, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, but we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first one is kind of two because I couldn't decide, but I'll probably only read one of them at a time. Well, maybe I'll just get really into it and read both of them, but for my list, I'll just pick one. But my favorite movie of all time is The Sound of Music. So I have these two books about The Sound of Music. This one I think is about the movie, and this one is written by Augusta Trapp, so Maria von Trapp from the movie, but from the real life Maria. So like the people that the movie is based on. She wrote this book. So honestly, I don't know how to decide, but maybe I'll choose this one. So this one is about the actual Von Trapp family singers. So I'm really excited to read this because, of course, it's my favorite movie, and I know some of what's true and what's not true from the movie, but I'd love to hear more. So a couple of years ago, my family I went to Vermont, and we actually went to the Von Trapp Family Lodge in Vermont, and so that was really fun. That's actually in Vermont is where I got this book. So if you saw my sorry for referring to my last video again, but if you saw my last video, I talked about a book that I had gotten on another adventure and how it was such a fun souvenir. Well, I accidentally did it again with this book. So and I do remember that trip from this book, and so again, highly recommend. My sister and I went to Belgium this year, and I so wish that I would have got a book over there, because I just find it to be, I mean, as I've been going through this and realizing, it's the perfect souvenir. So anyways, so this will be one of the books that I will read this year on my TBR. It is the real life story of The Sound of Music. So I'm excited to see the differences between the movie and the book, and what really happened, I guess. So it's number one. The second nonfiction is sort of like a self-help book. Well, not sort of. It is a self-help book. And it's this Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. I don't really know much about it, except I think that he's pretty well known in like the self-help community, or like book community, I think. But I don't usually read a lot of self-help books, and I can't remember when I bought this, but it's been a while. But I've been thinking a lot recently about how to change my life in a way that like makes me feel like I'm really present and living my life, and intentional living just seems like a good book to read at this time. So I don't know, I'll give it a shot. Like I said, I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I don't read a lot of self-help. So again, don't know a lot about that, but I think that it might be the right time for it. So we'll see. And then going along with change, I think my mom got this for me a year or two ago, and it's Lauren Akins' Live in Love. And this, I actually am not really like the hugest fan of country music, but I do like Thomas Rhett, and I think it's really cute that and this is his wife, and that he and Lauren were high school sweethearts, I believe. So I think that's really sweet. But it's funny that I asked for this book, but I think I just really heard a lot of good things about it. And as far as like a fun, like, I guess celebrity book, but I think that she had kind of a few really profound life changes happen, and I think that, I don't know, I have like a sense of like a change coming, or something, like a change needing to happen. I've always been really one to not like change and kind of avoid it at all costs, but I don't know, for some reason, maybe it's because I turned 30 this year, but I feel like a change is coming, or it should come, and I feel like growing together through life's changes seems like a good book to read right now. So I don't know, we'll see, but I think it sounds good, and I think that I don't know, she just seems like a really joyful and like fun, like really nice person, so it can't be bad, right? So those are the nonfictions that I picked. Not anything super profound or crazy, but I think they'll be good reads, and I think that they'll be good for, especially the last two will be good for the season I'm in right now. I don't know. I felt drawn to them. Okay, so now we're going to go to the biggest non-surprise on this stack. If you watched my last video, I said this is definitely going to be read this year, and I'm committed to it, and that is Little Women. So this book, first of all, the cover is my favorite thing ever. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. That's why it's displayed like this on my shelf. I love this book and the way it looks, but I know I'm going to love it when I read it, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to like commit to reading it or to like actually read it. And one of the reasons I think is because it starts out at Christmas time, because I started reading it and then I thought, oh, I need to read this at Christmas time, but I don't have to read it at Christmas time. So I decided that I can read this whenever I feel like it, and it's going to be in 2023. So Little Women. And if you don't know, this is a classic by Louisa May Alcott, and it's about 4 sisters who I believe their father is away fighting in the war or something, and so they just live with their mom, Marmee, and it's just about all their little adventures. And so I think they each all have their own little traits that kind of go with them, and so I think that it's just about how they all mesh as a family and either stick up for one another or sometimes like sisterly tussles or whatever. And so anyways, I know it's going to be a good book because I already know what it's about, but I need to read it. It's a classic, and it's going to be good. Okay, so I've actually already started reading this one. This is Anne of Green Gables. It's Anne of Windy Willows, and this is the fourth book in the Anne of Green Gables series. And so I have really been enjoying Anne of Green Gables. I just love how she is so imaginative and how she sees the world. It just makes me, when I read it, I feel like I notice things more, or like I appreciate the romanticisms of each little thing more. And so I wanted to I actually did. I started reading this in the spring because look how springy the cover is. But I'm going to finish it even though it's not spring anymore. But I love Anne of Green Gables, and so I thought, of course, I'm going to add the next one to the list. Plus, I'm cheating a little bit because I'm already starting to read it. So, but I want to finish it, and I did count it as a book that I hadn't read. So, and if you haven't read Anne of Green Gables, I highly recommend. Like I said, she just views the world in such an imaginative way, and the way that she describes things it's so artistic and romantic, and I don't know, it's so, like I said, imaginative. And so I highly recommend Anne of Green Gables. I will tell you what the first one is about, because this, like I said, is the 4th one. But the first one is about a girl who is sort of like accidentally adopted by a family. They in that time, I guess, like they were going to adopt I guess, a little boy to help at the farm, but they accidentally were brought a girl, and they just fell in love with her because of her quirky personality, and they, I mean, of course, I'm describing it poorly because it sounds like it's a weird situation, but it wasn't weird at all. Well, maybe it was a little bit weird, I don't know, but anyways, they ended up keeping her, and it's all about her little adventures and the troubles that she gets into at Green Gables, and so the brother and sister that live there end up taking her in, and I don't know whether she was like officially adopted or anything, but they took her in and she became a part of their family, and it was just a really sweet and wholesome story, and I described it horribly, but I highly recommend it anyways. I feel like Anne of Green Gables is a classic, and so I think I'll go ahead and review the rest of the classics in my stack, because I have a few, and I'm happy that I picked out a few classics because I've had them on my shelves for a while and I've been wanting to read them. And so the first one is by Henry James, and it's Daisy Miller. This is actually 2 stories, I think, Daisy Miller and Washington Square. At least I think they're 2 separate stories. But anyways, I don't know anything about what this is about. The only thing I know about it is that I'm pretty sure this is a separate book than this. I don't know if this is about Washington Square. I don't know what that's about at all, but Daisy Miller is about, I think, an American girl going to Europe for the first time, but like in the early 1900s. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that, but that's what I think it's about. But anyways, the reason I picked up this book originally was, I don't know if any of you have ever seen The Age of Adeline, but at the beginning of the movie, somebody brings Adeline a bouquet of flowers, and it was a little bouquet of books, and one of them was Daisy Miller, one of them was Dandelion Wine, I think, which I also have and I almost pulled. But it was just like a bunch of little like flower named books, and I love that idea so much. If anyone ever do that for me, I literally feel like I would pass out from like how romantic it would be. But anyways, I like romantic stories like Pride and Prejudice, and so I think it'll be kind of like that. Because I think it's kind of set in the same time period. It's a classic that I've wanted to read for a while, ever since I saw that movie, Age of Adeline, and so it made the list. The next book is also a classic, and I believe it was on my fall TBR, but I never got to it. So it's And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, and this one is also prestigious enough to have a front-facing role on my bookshelf. So I just love this cover. I think it's really beautiful, and I know that there are other stories in here, but specifically And Then There Were None is the one that I want to read. And also, I don't think I counted like this book as multiple books in my 164 books that I have that I haven't read, and so but I'm only counting right now And Then There Were None as one book and on my TBR, because I probably won't read this entire thing like at one time. Although, if I'm really enjoying it, maybe I will. But And Then There Were None, I think, is about, it's definitely a mystery. And I think it's about people, I don't know how many, maybe like 11 or 10 or something, are invited to this island, I believe. And then, like, one by one, they're murdered. And so they're trying to solve who's murdering them. I think that's what it's about. If I'm not, correct me in the comments. Or if I'm wrong, I mean. Anyways, okay, and the next one I'm really excited about. In my last video, I was, like, looking around for a book that was this like a bunch of books all together, and that was this beast of a book. It's all the Jane Austen books, and I've read Pride and Prejudice, so I'm probably not going to read that, although I might not be able to help myself if I'm just getting into it because I love it so much. But I have the ones that I want to read out of this are Sense and Sensibility, Emma, Persuasion, and Northanger Abbey. And so that is the reason why when I added the nonfiction books to my list of 20, that I could get away with it, because I counted those 4 in this, but I'll just count it as one, I guess. And then, but if I actually read them, I'm going to count all 4 of them. But to make my list, I'll just say some Jane Austen novels. But I love Jane Austen, and I kind of would love to do a video where I do where I read the Jane Austen books and kind of do like a reading vlog, and share my thoughts, and maybe do like a little Jane Austen summer. If you'd be interested in something like that, please let me know in the comments. This will be kind of high on the list because I've been wanting to read it for a while, and in my last video I like nagged on myself about how this is too heavy to read or whatever, but I'm just gonna get my workout in. I'm gonna get my arm muscles a little bit stronger, and I'm gonna read these books. So, like I said, Pride and Prejudice is one of my all-time favorite books, and so I know that I'm gonna enjoy these. And then we'll see at the and then I told you it was heavy. And then we'll see at the end of me reading these if Pride and Prejudice is still my favorite Jane Austen. If you've read Jane Austen, let me know in the comments which is your favorite. Going on with the theme of books that have already been on a TBR, my fall TBR included And Then There Were None, and then they also included these 2 books. So I'll just go through them really quickly. Nevermore by Jessica Townsend is a book about, it's a middle grade book, and you can see I did start it in the fall, but I didn't finish it, and so this fall I'd really like to finish it. I don't know why, I just feel like doesn't it look like a book that she read in the fall? To me it does. And it's a little bit magical, and so I think that it would be fun to read in the fall. I wish I didn't get a copy with this non-sticker on it, but it just is that way sometimes. So anyways, this is a story about Morgan Crow, and the first time I heard about this I thought it was Morgan, but it's actually Morrigan, which I feel like just goes with the vibe of this even more. So the trials, it's Morgan Crow, and she is cursed to die on her 11th. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was 13th or 11th, but she's cursed to die on her 11th birthday, but instead she's swept up by Jupiter North, and she's taken on some trials to kind of join a secret society, I think. So I started reading it, like I said, and I was really enjoying it. I just got busy and didn't get to finish it, and I thought, and then it was Christmas time, so then I started reading Christmas books, and then I just never got to it. So this year I'm going to do this one, to read this one. This one, I just know it's going to be good. I've heard such good things about it. specifically, if you watch Alexandra Rosen's channel, Lexi loves this book. So, and I feel like she has really good recommendations. So, that's why I'm very sure that it's going to be a good one. So, and then the other one from the fall was The Girl Who Drank the Moon. This is also a recommendation that I received from Lexi's channel, and I think that for middle grade, she has given me a lot of recommendations because I haven't read a lot of middle grade, but the ones that I read have been really good. Like, what's it called? The Benedict Society? The Mysterious Benedict Society is also, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I got that recommendation from her channel. I don't know where else I would have gotten it. Well, anyways, but now it's a Netflix show, I think, or Hulu or Amazon or something. I think it was on Netflix. But anyways, so obviously a lot of other people liked it too. That was a really good story. I know it's a series. I've only read the first one, but I really enjoyed it. And so, and I've been wanting to get into reading a little bit more of those middle grade stories because they're really fun and they're really good. And so anyways, The Girl Who Drank the Moon is one that I'd have to read during the fall because it's just a little bit witchy and it just has to be read at the fall time. It's the law. Well, to me anyways. But anyway, it's about I think it's about a town that they sacrifice a baby to the witch in the woods or something, but what she really does is she feeds them, I think, like starlight or sunlight or something, and takes them across to like the other town or something. I could be explaining this incorrectly, but we'll see once I read it. But anyways, for this one, this girl who drank from the moon, I think the witch in the woods, accidentally feeds her moonlight instead of the starlight or the sunlight that she was supposed to be feeding them. So I think then she becomes magical, and then she stays in the woods with the witch instead of going to the other town. I think that's what it's about, but if I explained it wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's about or something like that. And it's The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. And I just think it sounds like a really fun, witchy, cute, magical story. It's not going to be scary because it's a middle grade. At least that's what my thought process is behind reading a middle grade witchy story. I really like scary books, and so the scariest book on here will be And Then There Were None. But Agatha Christie, I feel like, is not too scary. It's kind of like the murder mysteries on Hallmark Channel. Like, there's still a murder on there, but like it's not going to be gory and disgusting and scary. Too scary anyways, I don't think. So we'll see. That'll be fun. That'll be interesting to read that and see if I get too scared. Actually, this one I believe was also on my fall TBR, so this is so embarrassing, but I'm going to do so much better this year. This is already 20 books, and if I get through all these books, it's going to be a fun celebration or something, because this is going to be a big deal for me because I'm going to do some more prioritizing with my time. I'm going to live intentionally and read all these books. So anyway, so this one again was also on my fall TBR, and this one was The Bookshop on the Corner, and by Jenny Colgan. And this is about a girl who I think that she gets laid off from her job, and then she at the library, and it's becoming more of like a digital thing, and she's like so annoyed because she loves books so much, so relatable. And she has like this unrealistic dream that she thinks could never happen, or well, that her friends think is so like out there or whatever, that she wants to open a bookshop in a van, like a mobile bookshop. And so it's all about her little small town experience opening a bookstore and seeing if that's gonna work for her. And it's like a little bit of a really, how do I explain it? It's like, it's not a coming of age story, but because she is like an adult, but it's kind of like a self-discovery story. It's like she's going to, I think, have like a big life changing experience. And so I think that's going to be good. I think it's going to be really cozy. At least I hope it will be. And I don't know, I can't remember if any of these other ones were on my fall TBR, but we'll just pretend they weren't, because that'll be less embarrassing. And so anyways, we'll go with the next two that are just sitting here. And these are both by Leigh Bardugo. These are King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, and these are both on the TBR because I want to read them both, because I know that once I read this one, I'll want to read this one, because that's how it always goes with their books. But these are the next two in the series, in the Shadow and Bone series. I think they're technically a duology because the Shadow and Bone series was a trilogy. Then next in the series was a duology, the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and then these two come after that. I have read all the other ones, and I actually reread Shadow and Bone earlier this year because I just really loved it. I thought about reading all the way through, but I don't know. I really wanted to read them all again before reading these, but I feel like that's almost kind of become a deterrent. So I think maybe I'll just try to like step in and see if I get too confused, and if I start getting too confused, I'll go back and read them. But if not, I'm gonna try to read these without reading them all again, because I feel like that's the way that I'm actually gonna get through all these books, is by maybe stopping rereading all the books that I already really love. And so I guess I'll give a little bit of a backstory of what the Shadow and Bone series is about, because since this is the, I guess, 6th book technically in the series, I don't want to give too much away on these, but basically the Shadow and Bone series is about these Grisha is what they're called, or Grisha. I'm not really sure how they are supposed to be said. I have said Grisha when I was reading it, but I've heard other people say other things, and so to each their own, I suppose. But anyways, it's about them, and they have not magical powers, but I think it's called the ability to manipulate, like by using the small science, so they can manipulate different elements. Anyway, so it's about this world that includes these Grisha, but it also includes average people, and so it's kind of the dynamic between those. And the Shadow and Bone is the adventure of a girl who discovers that she's actually Grisha after living her life, I think like 18 years, not realizing. And so it's about her kind of like becoming like more of like a chosen one kind of story, and I really loved it. And then one of the characters in that book is the main character in these two books. So it's not the main girl, it's actually a boy that she meets. And so I won't give too much away if you want to read the Shadow and Bone series, but and I would highly recommend it. It's really fun and really adventurous and really good. And all the magical systems and everything. I hesitate to say magic because it's not really magic. It's more of like an ability, I think, or something. Sort of like how like in Matilda she can like move things with her eyes. It's not. I wouldn't really call that magic. You know, it's not like spells and stuff. But anyways, it's a very good story, and I really love how like intricate it is, and how like the whole world, like everything. I just really loved it. So anyways, I guess it's actually the prince in the world in Ravka, in the Shadow and Bone series. I'm pointing like this because it's those behind my candle. But in that series, the prince is the King of Scars, I think. Because, well, I know why, but I won't give away too much in case you haven't read the Shadow and Bone series. But so it's more of like a fantasy story, and so I think I did a good job in creating this TBR of kind of getting like several different like genres of books to kind of like really be dynamic throughout the year. And so I'm excited about that. But going on with fantasy, I have one more fantasy, and it's I mentioned this in the last video, and it is A Darker Shade of Magic by B.E. Schwab. And like the last video, I don't know too much about it, but I know that it's sort of like a fantasy regarding parallel worlds, parallel Londons of it's a person, I think it's one person, but I'm not sure, that can travel between the different worlds, or the different Londons, and I think that sounds pretty cool, and so I thought that would be a fantasy that I could add to the TBR. Plus, since I got it for Christmas, I thought it would be good to read this year. Before next Christmas, maybe. So we have 6 books left, and I think that I could classify them all as historical fiction. I think that might be like one of my very favorite genres. At least I'm drawn to it, kind of. This one I mentioned in my last video, I think. Or did I? No. This one I mentioned in my last video, and this is by the same author. And so these are both on my TBR. These are both one of my best friend's favorite, well, it's one of my best friend's favorite author, and so she really loves these books, and so I know that they're going to be good. The Alice Network is about, well, it's set in 2 different time periods, right before well, no, during World War I and then right after World War II. And so it's two different main characters that kind of like meet up in the second timeline, to like, and it's kind of like a mystery, I think, and the Alice Network is actually like a network of women spies during World War I, and so that main character helps like answer some questions, I think, and like on some sort of like adventure, I think, to like solve a little bit of a mystery, I think, in the second time, like the more like the after World War II timeline. So it should be really good. My best friend has recommended this to me so many times for actual years, and so I'm excited to finally get to this year. And then, like I said, this is also by Kate Quinn, and my friend also really loves this book. It's also set in World War II. It's about a girl who is a member of the Night Witches. It's a regiment of nighttime women bombers called the Night Witches, and I just think that the Night Witches already is really such a enthralling group name, and so that sounds interesting. But the main girl, I think that her plane is shot down, and so she is like, I think she's in Nazi territory, and the huntress is this like murderous Nazi lady who like, I think she hunts people from the opposite side, I think. And so I think that's what this is about. So the next one is All the Light We Cannot See. And I have had this book for 100 years. I've had this book for so long, and I actually picked it because I like feel guilty for how long I've had it and have not read it. So this is the year that I shall read this book. And actually I was like reading the back to see what it was about to like refresh my memory. And it says that 10 years in the writing, All the Light We Cannot See is a magnificent blah, blah, blah. 10 years in the writing. So it took them a long time to write this book, just as it took me a long time to actually read it. So let's make sure it's not 10 years. And I'll go ahead and read it this year. So I can't remember when I bought it, but I surely don't think it was 10 years ago. So that would be crazy if it was, though. But anyways, this is I believe also World War II. It probably is. I'm not really positive about that, but we'll see. I know that it's a little bit of a I don't know if it's a romance, although I do know there's two characters that come together, like a little bit of a camaraderie, I believe. It could be a romance, I'm just not positive. And then I think that there might be like a little bit of a mystery. But I'm excited to finally read this. I've had it for so long. I don't know why I keep putting it off. So hopefully it's a good one, and it'll be worth the wait. I know that I said that I wasn't going to mention what was on my fall TBR, but I also think this was on my fall TBR. So, but this is, I believe, is the last one. And not the last one on this list, but the last one from the repeats. But this is I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. And Ruta Sepetys is my favorite author, or at least one of my favorite authors. I just love her writing so much. She is really good, I think, at like doing a lot of research and making it kind of a learning experience for something that is not really talked about a lot in history. So usually her topics are something that's like kind of like a hidden away thing, or like something that's like not really a mainstream historical concept. And so this book is, I believe it's set in Romania, and I think that it's about a boy who sort of gets like trapped between like a rock and a hard place. I think that he starts becoming sort of like a spy, but then he has to make some hard decisions about whether he betrays his country or like his family, or I'm not exactly sure who's being betrayed here, but I know that he has kind of like a tough situation. And so I know this will be such a good book because, like I said, Ruta Sepetys' writing is amazing. My favorite book of hers is The Fountains of Silence, and that was her last one before this one, and I just love her so much. So if you're looking for historical fiction, The Fountains of Silence is one I would definitely recommend. And also Salt to the Sea, that was my other favorite of hers. I was actually introduced to her, funny enough, in college. Usually, I feel like, I don't know if this happened whenever you were in college or high school, but a professor would like recommend a book or assign a book for reading, and you know, it'd be like, okay, or like you can see why it was like literarily important, or like pertained to the topic, or you can see why it was like good for the syllabus or whatever. This book was not, it wasn't this book, it was what was it called? Between Shades of Grey, I think it was called. But anyways, it was set in the Baltics, and we were going to the Baltics. And so, you know, I thought it would be like more, I don't know, historical, or like, it was historical, but I thought it would be more like educational. But actually it was like the most enthralling story, and I just loved it so much. So then I got all her other books. And so really, if you're watching this, which you probably aren't, Dr. Ellis is the one that introduced me to my favorite author. So thanks for that. Okay, and the next one is The Help, and this is a book I got I think right after I saw the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought that at some parts it was really funny, at some parts it was just really poignant, and I'm excited to read the book. I think that it will be, you know, the book is always better than the movie. It always has more information, and so I'm excited to read this one. I've had it for a while, so it'll be a good one to give a read. And then last is a book that I don't know a lot about, but I'm classifying it as historical fiction because I think that it's set in, I think it's actually set in the 1600s. So like, it's actually set in like a pioneer kind of time. And so it's called Caleb's Crossing, and it's by Geraldine Brooks. And funny enough, the other book, well, actually, I think have I read 3 of her books? Yep, I've read 3 of her books, and I know that she has many others, but, or at least I think she does. Actually, the last time I went to Barnes & Noble, I saw like several of her books that I had never even heard of. So, but anyways, I've had this one for a little bit of time. I've read A Year of Wonders, March, which kind of goes with Little Women, because she wrote kind of like the father's perspective of Little Women. And then I've also read People of the Book, which I really, really loved. That one was really interesting, and I really loved all like the different parts to it. But this one is called Caleb's Crossing, and it's set in the 1600s on Martha's Vineyard, and it's an English Puritan girl and a Native American boy, and I think it's their dynamic and how kind of like they help each other out, I think is what it's about. But I am excited to read this. I've actually, you know how, I don't know if you do this, but whenever I'm going on a vacation or like packing for like the beach, or like to go, you know, picking out some books to bring, I always bring like 4 or 5 books, and I usually read like maybe 1, or sometimes if I'm at the beach, I'll read like 2 or 3. I brought this to so many different vacations, and for some reason it's always ending up the last one I pick, and I don't know why, but I brought this along on so many different occasions, and somehow it's remained unread, and so hopefully this is not the year that it remains unread again. Alright friends, so I think that's it for this video. Those are my 20 books that I am hopeful that I'll get to this year. I think that I would feel very accomplished if I got through all these books. So again, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were of them. I can get excited for any of them. So let me know your thoughts. And then also, I'm curious, since I just reorganized my bookshelves, I want to know, like, how do you organize your books? Do you organize them by author, by genre, by color? I know that some people organize them by like the color of the spine, and I would love to do that, but honestly, I feel like I would get overwhelmed or like confused. So I'm not sure if now is the time with this bookshelf. Maybe in the future, if I have like a lot more books and like a lot more color variety and a lot more space to see them all. I'd also have seen people do it where they actually like flip all the books to where you can see just like the pages, so it's all like a really neutral color palette, which I feel like would be really beautiful, but also really impractical. Like, I don't know how you would ever find anything, but I think that would be really cool. So anyways, let me know how you organize your books. I'd love to compare and see like if I can get any ideas from you, but the way I did mine, I'm confident with how, or I feel good about it for now. As I add to them, I'm sure I'll have to change it, but I'm not doing that for a while because I have a lot of good books here to read. So I shouldn't need to add to the shelves, especially since that is the opposite of my goal for the year. So, but anyway, let me know also what you're currently reading. I'd love to know and see, like, especially if we're reading something of the same, although some of these books are like pretty like older, you know, have been out for a while, so I'd be surprised if you're currently reading one of these, but if you are, it's our destiny, and I'll start reading it right away. So let me know in the comments, but until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you really soon. Stay cozy, friends!